Now, we also said that the Sermon on the Mount, when you look at it, when you see it described, it almost looks like this outline, this definition of a person. And it's a Christian, yes, what he's making us, yes, but ultimately what we said is it's Jesus being defined. It's Jesus being described. Jesus is the Sermon on the Mount. It's Jesus who fulfills and exemplifies all of these things that he's called us to. So Jesus calls us to not get angry or distant when somebody sins against us, but it was he who didn't separate himself from us when we sinned against him, but in fact he drew near. Jesus, he calls us to let our yes be yes and our no be no, but to keep our promises. But it's Jesus who always keeps his promises, who has never lied, who actually is truth. He is yes. Jesus is yes. Jesus calls us to love our enemies, but it's he who loves us, his enemies. Jesus calls us to approach the Father like a child, but it was Jesus who was willing to lose the Father that we might know God as our Father and as a child. Jesus calls us to not be anxious, but in the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus was troubled even unto the point of death as he anticipated the suffering he was going to face on the cross in our place that we might never be anxious. Jesus fulfills the Sermon on the Mount. Jesus calls us to not judge self-righteously, but in fact to take the log out of our own eye first. But it was Jesus that looked at us, did not judge us, took the log in our eye and put it into his. It's Jesus that fulfilled all of these things in the Sermon on the Mount. So you need to hear this very, very carefully. You do not need to perfectly obey the Sermon on the Mount for God to know you and love you. You do not need to obey the Sermon on the Mount perfectly for God to know you and love you. Jesus did all that for you. He did all that. He fulfilled it for you. You are known and loved by God, and because you are, you're freed up to obey. Because you are, we can just joyfully and freely, because it's not a performance issue anymore, obey for our joy, for his glory. Become what this is making us. Grace-fueled obedience is making us what Jesus has described in the Sermon on the Mount. That guy, that girl. And it's fantastic. All the weight's off of you. All the pressure's off. You're loved and known by God, so obey him. Submit to his authority. It's good authority. He loves you. And nothing will change that. Nothing will change that. Not if grace is doing this work in you. Not if the Spirit is in you.